So I want to go over the graphs, okay? Starting with number 1. First thing we want to look for is the degree. The degree for this, it's x times x cubed, right? So it's x to the 4th power, which makes the degree even or odd? Even. Wait, x 4 is even.
Bro, literally on one of the examples yesterday,
Okay.
you put
I'm not
odd.
stupid, I swear.
And then is it positive or negative? It's positive. So what does it look like? Show me with your hands. Both up, right? Both arrows are going to be up. Okay, so up and up. Now, what are my 2 zeros? 3 and negative 4. And 4 is a triple root, right? We talked about that looks like x cubed. Okay, so when I put it on my graph, one of the biggest mistakes I saw in the homework was you were putting the multiple root on the wrong number, right? The x cubed part has to be at the negative 4, not at the positive 3. The positive 3 is a single root. So I'm going to start up, and I'm going to come down and make that snake motion, right? The inflection point through the negative 4, and then I'm going to turn around and go through the 3. Okay. So a lot of people put the snake part on this one. That's a single root. When there's no exponent on the factor, it's going to go through smoothly. Okay. A lot of people had the first one right. Okay, we're going to number 2. Number 2 is over here. Okay. Number 2 is over here. What's my degree? 3. X squared times x is x cubed, which makes it even or odd? Odd. And is it positive or negative? Negative. So show me what it looks like. Right. Starts, the arrow, first arrow is up and the last arrow is down. And what are my zeros? Negative 1 and 2. And negative 1 is a double because of the exponent. So negative 1, positive 2. So I'm going to start up, right? Because the top arrow was up. And then I'm going to go down, and it's going to bounce off. It makes a mini parabola on the negative 1. And then it turns around and it goes through the 2. It should not cross the axis anywhere except for your zeros. Okay? Some people are adding extra zeros in there by crossing the axis at other places. It should only touch or cross the axis at your zeros. Okay?
Mine just looks tiny.
All right. And remember, we're not worried about how high we go, right, on some of the loops, or how low we go. We're just sketching it. Number 3, x squared times x squared is x to the 4th, right? So that's even. And is it negative or positive? Negative. So show me what it looks like. Right? Down, down, right? Both are down. Okay, so my zeros are both 6 and negative 2, right? They are both doubles, right? So it's going to come up and bounce off the negative 2 and turn around and bounce off the 6. Okay, now some of you, I corrected your work just because it was like, it looked like this. Kind of, right? That's a totally different function. It exists. There's an equation that'll make it do that. But ours are more like little mountains, okay? It should be nice and flowy and curvy. It doesn't go up and then come back down, okay? So some of you I corrected just because I was like, I don't like the way you drew that. Draw it more rounded, okay? And then lastly, number 4, most people missed that x cubed, which makes it odd. Right, odd positive. I'm getting all confused because I'm like, oh, is your hand raised? No. Oh, wait, no, you're showing me what the graph looks like, right? So it looks like this, right? Down, and then it ends up. Okay, and then my zeros are 0, 4, and -2. 0, -2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So a lot of people forgot the 0 as a 0. Okay. So I'm going to start down, and I'm going to just pass through all 3 points. I should not pass through on my axis anywhere except for those 3 points. Okay. Okay, so let's look at number 5. It's x times x squared. That's x cubed, so that makes it odd. And the 2 is positive, so it's odd positive. So what does that look like?
This way.
Right, down here and up. Okay. Now what are my zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Positive 7 and positive 1. Which one's the double root? The 1 is a double root. So we're going to start down here, and it bounces off the double root. And then it turns around and goes through the 7. So, like I said, the biggest mistake was when you did the double roots, you were doing it on the wrong 0, right? It has to be on the 0 that has that exponent on the factor. Okay? Now, number 6, select the correct shape of the function. We have negative x to the 6th. So is it even or odd? The rest of it doesn't matter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the 6, wait. Negative x to the 6th.
Is that even?
That's even. Right? And it's negative. Okay, even negative is down, down, right? So which graph is that? C. Okay.
So you don't take the second exponent, you always take the first one?
Only take the largest one. The largest exponent is the leading. Okay, the other exponents don't matter. We don't add them together. Okay, number 7. Yes, Kennedy. Because even negative is down, down, right?
But I thought it was odd. Do you not add the 6?
No, I do not add the exponents. I take the highest exponent. Okay.
How do you know which one to take the highest one to add them?
You only add them if it's like x squared y cubed. If that was the term, then we would add the exponents. But you're not going to see that here.
Is the next one B?
The next one, yes, it's odd. It's positive. And so that's down. It goes up like the positive line. So B is your final answer there.
Okay, I did not know how to do this stuff.
What? Okay, so now 8, 9, and 10 said find all the zeros. Yeah.
I thought I had to like plug in f of x for
I'm going to just make it equal to 0 and factor it. To find the zeros, we have to factor it and solve them. So I factor by grouping. This is 4 terms. We're going to factor by grouping when there's 4 terms. So I take out the x squared times x minus 2, plus 4, take out the 4 here, times x minus 2. And then you have x squared plus 4 times x minus 2.
So for the things that have 4 terms, you can do them grouping?
Correct. If there's 4 terms, we want to factor by grouping. Okay. Now, can I solve these? X squared plus 4 equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0. So that's x squared equals negative 4. This is what we did last chapter, right? Solving quadratics. X equals plus or minus 2i. Square root of both sides. Right? The square root of negative 4 is plus or minus 2i. And then positive 2, right? So those are my 3 answers. positive 2i, negative 2i, and positive 2. It's third degree. Those are my 3 zeros. 2 of them are imaginary. Okay. Number 9. 0 equals 2 or 27 x cubed minus 8. What kind of special binomial is this? Right, this is a difference of cubes. So it's a minus b, a squared plus ab plus b squared. And my a is 3x and my b is what? 2. Okay, I don't need to bring in the negative if I'm using the difference pattern. So it's 3x minus 2, 3x squared plus 3x times 2 plus 2 squared. So that's 3x minus 2, 9x squared plus 6x plus 4. Now remember that the 9x squared plus 6x plus 4 is not factorable, so we can't factor that anymore. So we can solve 3x minus 2 equals 0. 3x equals 2. X is 2/3. And if I have a quadratic that has a coefficient, which method do I use to solve it? Because this is not factorable. I have a coefficient. What's my method? Say it louder. Quadratic formula. Yes, we're going to use quadratic formula. We don't want to complete the square on that. We don't want to divide everything by 9 and have to deal with those fractions. So I have to use quadratic formula to find this. Negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 9 times 4. 4 times a times c over 2 times a. 2 times 9. Okay. Yes, we have to remember quadratic formula. Yes, we have to remember how to factor quadratics. Negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 144 over 18. So negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 96. 98. 108. Jeez, can't subtract. 108 is 12 times 9, or 36 times 3. So it's negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36, 6i. That's a negative 108, right? Square root of 3 over 18. And then I can reduce everything by 6. Negative 1 plus or minus I square root 3 over 3. So those are my other two solutions. They're imaginary. It only crosses the axis once at 2 thirds. And the last one, number 10, f of x equals x to the 4th minus 6x squared plus 8. Here I'm factoring like a quadratic. What two numbers multiply to 8 and add to negative 6? Negative 4 and negative 2. And then it's x squared and x squared instead of x and x because it's x to the 4th, right? And then the x squared minus 4 factors to x plus 2x minus 2. And x squared minus 2. So the x equals negative 2, positive 2. And then we can solve x squared equals 2, square root x equals plus or minus the square root of 2. So we have to simplify it all the way. So it asks for all the zeros. That means including the imaginary ones. Tomorrow, what we'll talk about is factoring it, solving it, and then sketching it based on the zeros that we got. Okay, so kind of putting it all together. Factoring from Monday, and the graphing and the solving all in one.